I have a cabin that's about 250 yards up that way, and I was headed down to my fishing hole. I noticed something back over here in the woods.
For decades, eerie sightings and chilling sounds have haunted forests across North America. Witnesses speak of towering figures, glowing eyes, and strange phenomena that defy explanation. Are these tales just myths, or evidence of a creature science has yet to catch? From California to the remote wilderness, these shocking encounters may hold the truth. Join us as we reveal the most compelling Bigfoot sightings ever caught on camera. Footage courtesy Animal Planet. The BFRO team heads to the mountains just outside Los Angeles, California to look into several reports of Bigfoot sightings. Many of these sightings have been shared by people visiting the area to get away from the busy city, adding to the mystery surrounding the creature. What mysterious force could be lurking in the shadows just beyond the city's edge? Something unseen, yet undeniably present as night falls. Could there be more to these dark mountain ranges than meets the eye, quietly waiting to reveal its secrets? As part of their inquiry, Matt, along with his team members, reached out to a local witness who reported unusual activity in the area a few months earlier. According to the account, Richard Bivan, a California Bigfoot witness, was sitting in his truck, smoking a cigarette around dusk when he observed a strange phenomenon. An orb of green and red light glowing silently just across the street. The unexpected sighting raised new questions about what might be occurring in the region after dark.
Hello.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Hey, it's good to see you, man.
Nice to meet you guys.
So we understand you had some interesting activity here a few months ago.
Yes.
Tell us all about it, please.
All right, well, I was sitting up here on the truck, having a smoke. It was just getting dark. And literally right across the street, there's like a green-red orb just sitting there.
The orb flickered red before gradually shifting to green. Then, suddenly, Richard saw something moving. An indistinct figure walking nearby, adding a new layer of mystery to the strange encounter. He speeded toward the fence, heart pounding, but when he finally reached it, the figure was gone, vanished into thin air, leaving behind only an eerie stillness and unanswered questions.
It like pulsated red, then turned green, and then all of a sudden, just saw this thing just walking.
When the investigator, Ranai, asked him to describe what he saw, Richard explained that the figure was tall and covered in thick brown fur, with its head slightly bowed forward as it moved. Despite the close encounter, he was unable to make out any specific features on the face, as it remained concealed in shadow.
Describe what you saw.
It was tall, brown, with a short head coming down.
Did you see any details on the face?
No, I couldn't see the detail.
When Matt pressed further, asking how he could be sure it wasn't just a black bear, Richard's voice grew steady with conviction. He explained that the figure's height was far beyond that of any bear he had ever seen, towering and unmistakably human-like in its stature, which left little doubt in his mind that this was something else entirely.
How do you know it wasn't a black bear?
I mean, it was just way too tall.
As you're looking at the figure, was it moving from left to right or right
It
to
was
left?
moving right by that tree to the left where that truck is. When it reached the truck,
Yeah.
it was gone.
So you just lost it.
It was gone.
For many Bigfoot investigators, any mention of paranormal activity, such as strange lights or glowing orbs, is enough to dismiss an entire report. But Matt sees it differently. He points out that numerous witnesses have reported seeing orbs in connection with Bigfoot sightings, and he himself encountered one of these mysterious blue lights during a previous investigation. Because of that experience, the presence of the orb doesn't shake his belief. It only deepens his curiosity about the possible connection between these unexplained phenomena. What do you think? Could these orbs and Bigfoot encounters be connected, or are they two separate mysteries happening in the same place?
For a lot of Bigfoot investigators, they hear something like paranormal, like balls of light or orbs. They just throw the whole Bigfoot report out. I don't. Lots of witnesses have reported seeing orbs in conjunction with Bigfoot. I've actually had an encounter with one of those blue balls of light when there was Bigfoot action going on, so I don't doubt it.
As darkness settles over the forest, Ronnie and Maria prepare for their most intense night investigation yet at the mysterious tree structure. Ronnie, a seasoned tracker with a keen eye for movement and thermal anomalies, takes position near the structure, armed with a high-sensitivity thermal camera. Maria, an experienced researcher known for her methodical approach and deep knowledge of local folklore, monitors the surrounding area, coordinating the tech setup and documenting every step. With no limits in place, tonight they're bringing everything they have, ready to uncover whatever secrets the night may reveal.
Tonight, the game plan is we're gonna go no holds barred. We're bringing everything we have. I'm gonna be positioned by the tree structure with a thermal camera.
Okay, I have the IR camera up and ready to go.
Okay, I've got my eyes on you from up here.
All right, sounds good.
Mariah paused, her head tilting slightly. "Did you hear that, Ronnie?" she said quietly. It sounded like a knock on wood. Ronnie narrowed his eyes toward the trees. "Yeah, I caught that. Classic tree knock." She glanced at him. "Isn't that one of the ways they say Bigfoot communicates?" He nodded. "Supposedly they hit branches against trees to signal each other. Every time I've heard one out here, something weird follows. Not always right away, but it comes." The forest around them grew still, as if listening.
Ronnie, do you recognize that sound?
We just got a tree knock.
I heard it clearly, whatever that was.
Yeah, tree knocks always happen when Bigfoot is around. It's believed that Bigfoots communicate by hitting branches against the trees. And every time I've heard one, weird stuff comes with it.
The next morning, Ronnie led to a guy Bigfoot witness son, heard bits and pieces about his dad's past. But one evening, he finally asked him to share the story from the mountain. A man, a Bigfoot witness's son, was about to recount his father's encounter. "My dad was about 15. He began out hunting just as dusk was settling in. He wanted to get home before dark, so he was making his way down the mountain when suddenly he heard loud rustling, heavy footsteps coming from the hill across from him. But every time he stopped to listen, everything went silent."
"I know you have something to show me, and I can't wait to see it, but I never realized that your father had a Bigfoot encounter. Would you be willing to tell me about that?"
He was about 15 years old. He was hunting, and it was about dusk, getting ready to be dark. He wanted to get home before it got dark. He was coming off the mountain, and as he was coming down, he could hear this just loud rustling, loud like steps coming down the hill across from him. And every time he would stop to listen, it would just be quiet and calm.
Right.
Eerily calm, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. That's when the fear hit him. Without looking back, his dad took off running, heart pounding, desperate to get home before whatever was out there caught up with him. Ronnie could almost feel the tension in the air as he listened, realizing just how close his dad had come to something unknown.
So he just made a mad dash. And then as soon as he looked back, he could see just this large silhouette of something just running out on 2 feet, just heavy.
Wow.
So he kept running, and when he finally gets to a house, a guy came out on the porch and started shooting at something behind it.
Wow.
The storyteller's voice dropped low as he revealed what he had discovered near a creek, just beneath the ruins of a collapsed cave. "I found something," he said, pulling out a heavy box. "It's right here. Take a look. You won't believe it, the dim light catching the edges of the object inside. What is he supposed to be seeing here? It looks like a handprint," the storyteller whispered, his voice barely above a breath.
This is incredible. What am I looking at here, Zach?
Looks like a handprint to me, man.
Looks like a handprint to me, too. A big handprint. Oh, that is so heavy. Oh, my God. Holy that is wild.
Zach's gaze locked onto the imprint, disbelief creeping into his tone. A handprint? That can't be right. But it is, and it's huge. The weight of the box seemed to press down on them both as Zach carefully touched the surface. This is something else. Heavy, solid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 distinct marks.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My mind is racing.
Yeah, there's no way that you can mistake that for something else. It's just...
I mean, doesn't that look like a hand to you?
And it's large.
Yeah, it's very large.
His heart quickened. There's no way to explain this away. It's a hand. Big. Too big for any person. That's insane, Ronnie whispered, eyes wide with disbelief. Could this actually be a fossilized imprint? If it is, this might be the key to finally cracking the case, once and for all.
That's insane. Something like a fossilized record? I mean, that could solve this mystery once and for all. This is incredible.
He swallowed hard, the weight of what they might have in their hands pressing down on him. This is incredible. Could this really be the proof we've been chasing? The evidence to silence all the doubt? His voice dropped to a tense hush. If this turns out to be a genuine fossil of some massive primate, it's game over. No more questions. Reality is sinking in. That's beyond wild.
Could this be the physical evidence that we need to put this mystery to rest? I mean, if this comes back as a real fossil of a large primate, game over.
That's wild.
Wow. But the question remained, could something so extraordinary really be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered? Footage courtesy NVTV Gay Helgen, a cryptozoologist by profession and driven by a mysterious encounter of her own, has spent years traveling the world in search of answers. One of those answers may lie in the testimony of witnesses whose experiences echo countless others. After all, thousands of people couldn't have all seen something that doesn't exist. Now, all that's missing is proof. She recalled the night she was heading out to farm sit for the weekend. Turning onto a quiet, narrow lane that passed by a small church, she had to slow down because of the speed bumps scattered along the road. As she drove carefully, she passed a man walking beside the lane. When she looked up just after passing him, something suddenly appeared in the beam of her headlights. Something she couldn't explain.
And I turned off onto their little lane, which just goes by this church and has speed bumps, so I was going very slow. And I passed a man walking, and when I looked up from him, I waved at him. When I looked up from him, I saw this thing in my headlights.
From the edge of the shadows, she caught sight of a massive shape emerging from the darkness. At first, she convinced herself it was just a bear, but then those broad shoulders came into view, and her heart pounded as an uneasy feeling took hold.
I saw a frontal view of this large body walking. I thought at first it was a bear, but it had shoulders.
She tracked him with her gaze, his outline stark against the pale glow of the yard light. Bulging muscles and broad shoulders loomed in the shadows. Unlike the man she had seen before, there was nothing to define him, just an indistinct dark presence looming in the night.
And saw him silhouetted in the yard light behind him. And I could see bulging muscles, big shoulders, but he was all dark. There was no clothing delineated like it was on the man that I had passed.
At first, it glanced toward her car, then began striding away with unnervingly long, heavy steps. She drove around the corner, stopped at the gate, and forced herself out, her heart pounding, terror tightening its grip around her. A cold wave swept over her, primal, suffocating, driven by the deep, unshakable sense that something wasn't just wrong. It wasn't human. What would you do if you saw something that shouldn't exist?
At first it looked toward my car, and then it started heading away. It just had very large strides. I had to drive around the corner and stop at the gate and get out, and I was terrified. But the dogs were there, and the dogs seemed normal, so I got out and I unlocked the gate. I ran in the house and turned on all the floodlights and sat there and thought, wow. And I just felt this dawning awe and excitement.
The most famous mountain devil encounter ever recorded was said to involve miner Fred Beck in 1924. Years later, his son, Ronald Beck, would retell the chilling account just as his father had described it, a story that still raises questions no one has been able to answer. From the moment he first told the story, he insisted that every part of it was true. "I give you my word," he would say to anyone who didn't believe him. It wasn't just a story, it was something real he had experienced. Because in this world, some things are stranger and scarier than anything you could imagine.
It all happened. I'll give you my word, this story is true. Many things stranger than fiction.
His father, uncle, grandfather, and 2 other men spent years prospecting in the remote Mount St. Helens area. They built a sturdy cabin deep in the wilderness and secured a claim they held for several years. But before long, their quiet work was shattered by a terrifying encounter with the mysterious mountain devils, an experience that would haunt them forever.
My dad, my uncle, my grandfather, and 2 other men were prospecting in Mount St. Helens area. And they built a cabin up there and filed a claim. I guess I had it for several years or more before this happened, where they encountered with mountain devils.
Everything started jumping on the roof, and rocks were being thrown. They knew they were being hunted. "They're going to get us," someone whispered, but they didn't stop. The companions were terrified. What happened next was a fierce attack. The mountain devils battered the cabin all night long until morning finally came, and he swore. It absolutely happened. They survived the night, but what shadows followed them home? Did anyone ever really know, or was the truth swallowed by the darkness? At night, in the darkness of the forest, the Ames team hunted for Bigfoot. Suddenly, a haunting female voice echoed through the trees, slicing through the silence. The air grew thick, heavy with an unsettling presence. These woods weren't just strange, they were alive, watching, waiting. The investigator team moved cautiously toward the towering structure, a twisted, massive tree unmistakably marked as a Bigfoot tree. The air felt thick, charged with something unseen. "Easy now," one whispered, voice barely audible in the stillness. Jeff's eyes darted through the shadows, but he saw nothing. "I'm not seeing anything," he said quietly. They pressed forward, sticking close together, every crack of a twig underfoot echoing like a warning in the heavy silence.
This is definitely a Bigfoot tree structure.
Oh! Dad, go on!
Easy now, easy. You getting anything, Jeff?
I'm not seeing anything.
All right, let me move up. Get together, get together.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah, let me
Listen,
take a look.
Listen. Listen.
They stopped abruptly as a strange sound cut through the silence. One of them whispered, tense, wondering what it could be. A chilling voice seemed to drift from just beyond the trees, soft yet unmistakable. It sounded like someone was there. The air grew heavy with unease. The leader urged them to head back to clean a car, but before they could move, a cold, cruel laugh echoed down from above. "Someone's up there," one of them said, voice shaking, eyes wide with fear. That was definitely someone. An evil laugh, a woman's voice, just up ahead.
That's happening. It sounds like someone. It sounds like someone saying it. Right over there.
That's spooky.
Man, that's clear. Guys, there's somebody up there. Yes, they are. Oh my gosh.
That was definitely somebody. That was an evil laugh.
That sounds like a woman.
Just up ahead of us. We just heard a laugh. There's no women out here.
"Hello, what was that?" one of the team members called out into the dark. "That wasn't a woman." Suddenly, a sharp rustling tore through the silence. "Did you hear that?" another whispered. "Something just took off running." Jeff heard it, eyes scanning the tree line. Whatever it was heavy. They stood frozen for a moment, listening to the fading sound of footsteps. They don't know if that's Bigfoot up there, or a person, the uncertainty in their voice hanging thick in the air.
Hello? What was that?
It wasn't a woman.
Oh! Ready! Dad!
You hear that?
Go on! Something took off running.
I heard it. Whatever it was heavy.
I don't know if there's a Bigfoot up there or if it's a person.
That ain't right. That ain't right.
We gotta go up there.
Look, I don't see no way out of it, man.
They crept forward, each step absorbed by the thick, motionless air. In the distance, a whisper broke the silence. "What is that?" One of the hanging forms twisted slowly in the breeze, then another and another. "They're everywhere," someone breathed. A cold silence settled in, unnatural and heavy. No one had an answer. Only wide eyes and the slow realization that they had stumbled into something they couldn't explain.
Whoa! Whoa! Look, it's moving! Look! What is this?
Oh, no!
What is this?
This one's moving! They're everywhere! What the hell does this mean?
This is the freakiest, creepiest thing I've ever seen.
What the hell did we step into?
"This is the freakiest, creepiest thing I've ever seen," Jeff muttered, barely above a whisper. They are surrounded by strange hanging forms suspended from the trees. When they first saw them hanging there, it looked like witchcraft.
When we seen those hanging in those trees, it looked like witchcraft to me, and I wish to God I had a bag of salt in my hand to put a circle around us, because I was just that scared. You all right?
Ain't none of us all right. I can't explain what we found tonight. We hear something that sounds like a woman singing. Then we hear a Bigfoot roar. And then we walk up and we find these things that are up in a tree that I can't even explain other than they look evil.
I've got a really, really bad feeling.
I'm not sticking around to find out who dies, boys. Let's get out of here.
These woods ain't normal. Let's get the hell out of here.
Come on, guys.
Come on.
But now, it felt like something older, something darker. Footage, courtesy, Sasquatch Mafia. Dr. Jeff Meldrum was an American anthropologist and professor known for his work in human anatomy and primate locomotion. He was especially recognized for his research into Sasquatch, examining footprints and offering a scientific perspective on the subject. Meldrum taught at Idaho State University and authored the book Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. Dr. Jeff noticed that there wasn't much difference in pressure except for a small spot. There was no arch, it was flat. This flat shape helped spread the creature's weight over a bigger area, which was important because the creature was much heavier, growing much faster as it got bigger.
Pressure there. There's a little bit across this point here, but there's no indication of an arch. It's flat, and that assists in the distribution of weight through more surface area. Given their much greater mass, which is a cube of the linear dimensions, remember, the volume.
The Sasquatch foot moves through a step cycle very differently from ours. Due to their long toes and shorter legs, they tend to have a high stepping gait, which gives them an advantage when navigating rough and uneven terrain.
Through a step cycle in a much different manner than we do. Given their long toes, they also, and their shorter legs, they also have a tendency to have a high stepping gait, which is also an advantage when you're walking through rough and irregular terrain.
The creature's trapezius muscle rose high and wide, forming a thick, cloak-like mass that stretched outward to its unnaturally broad shoulders. From behind, its neck all but disappeared into the dense mass of muscle. As Dr. Jeff described, the Sasquatch wasn't just tall, it was imposing. The mature adults, in particular, were disturbingly massive, broad, thick, and built with a weight and power that felt almost unnatural. Something about their sheer size unsettled even the most seasoned observers. You didn't just see it, you felt it, like the ground itself was warning you.
This trapezius forms this large, almost cape-like structure that flares out to the broad shoulders. And so from behind, there's very little visible neck. We work our way down, and the Sasquatch, as I said, seems to be very massive. Not only tall, but the mature adults are very, very broad and thick.
One of the most fascinating cases, Dr. Jeff noted, involved a pair of tracks discovered in Bossburg, Washington, near the remote Canadian border in the far northeastern part of the state. The prints were carefully cast and preserved, but it wasn't just their size that drew attention. It was what they revealed about the creature that left them. At first glance, the foot he was pointing looked normal, almost like a human's. But as Doctor explained, this print had clear toe marks, a defined heel, and a subtle arch, all much larger and more robust than any human footprint. It was the kind of print you'd expect from a healthy, fully grown Sasquatch, stronger, wider, and built to carry a creature far heavier and more powerful than a man.
This foot's quite normal, a normal, healthy Sasquatch, let's put it that way.
But the other one, he described very differently. This print showed remarkable signs of pathology, distorted, irregular, and asymmetrical. Dr. Jeff believed it may have been the result of a severe crushing injury sustained in adulthood. The toes were misaligned, the midfoot appeared collapsed, and yet the creature had continued moving. And that track, more than the healthy one, told the story of something real, something alive. This wasn't a myth. This was biology in motion. So the question remains, what kind of creature leaves behind a footprint like that? Footage, courtesy, Travel Channel. In the remote hills of Boone County, the Ames team embarks on a mission to track down a towering creature known as the Silver Giant, an enormous, bear-like beast feared by locals. But as they set their largest trap yet, they begin to suspect it's not the only mysterious presence in the area. Buck Caller, a seasoned outdoorsman and wildlife enthusiast known for his deep knowledge of local legends and mysterious creatures, has become a trusted voice in the search for the Silver Giant, offering first-hand accounts and insights into Boone County's unexplained phenomena. He describes the Silver Giant as a towering creature estimated to stand between 9 and 11 feet tall. According to him, it moves with surprising agility, capable of standing upright and running on its hind legs. Its most defining feature is a bold silver streak that runs from the crown of its head down the length of its back, giving the beast its name.
A little bit about this Silver Giant. We're talking 9, 10, maybe even 11 foot tall. Been known to stand up upright and be able to run on its hind legs, and has a giant silver streak running from the top of its head all the way down his back.
The team is preparing to meet their first eyewitness here in Boone County, a seasoned outdoorsman named Jody. Known for his passion and expertise in the wild, Jody replies warmly, "Nice to meet you, Buck." Whenever he gets the chance, he's out exploring and embracing the outdoors.
We're getting ready to meet with our first eyewitness here in Boone County, a man named Jody. How we doing? Jody's an extreme outdoorsman. Nice to meet you, Jody.
Nice to meet you, Buck.
Any opportunity he has to be in the outdoors, he's there.
Jody recalls a memorable encounter near his cabin, about 250 yards up the trail. On his way down to his fishing spot, he noticed something moving in the woods, but couldn't quite make it out. Since black bears are common in the area, he assumed that's what it was. As he walked along a nearby path, he accidentally stepped on a branch. The snap startled whatever was there, causing it to rise onto its hind legs and take off running. Jody estimates the creature stood nearly 10 feet tall, a figure far larger and more unsettling than any bear he'd ever seen.
I have a cabin that's about 250 yards up that way, and I was headed down to my fishing hole. I noticed something back over here in the woods, and I couldn't really tell exactly what it was, but there's black bears around here, so I'm assuming that it's a black bear. So I started walking right through this path right here, and I stepped on a branch, and whenever it snapped, whatever it was over there jumped up on its back legs and took off running. And that thing looked like it was 10 foot tall.
That's cool. Wow.
The team needed to figure out if the creature was simply a black bear, the well-known Silver Giant, or something completely different. Solving this mystery was key to their investigation.
We need to find out if this is a black bear or the Silver Giant.
This one right here.
Or something else.
Take a look at this. It looks like a bear's been through here, probably digging for some grubs or something, like it was clawed at with purpose, like it was hunting, not just for food, but for something deeper. Look closer. Those aren't old marks. The edges are still fresh, damp, and those claws, they're not just big, they're unnaturally wide, splayed like fingers from something that shouldn't exist in these woods. This wasn't just a bear. This was something massive, something ancient. That front paw print, it's wide, deep, and unmistakably fresh. And the spread. Whatever made this isn't far. The silence in the trees isn't peaceful, it's watching. Waiting. Those claws weren't shaped for digging through soil or turning over rocks. No, they were designed for something far more violent, for tearing, for gripping, or something else.
It's over 1,000 pounds. A bear like that, it'd rip you to shreds. Look here, looks like we had a bear in here, maybe trying to get some grubs or something.
Yeah, man, them looks like bear claws. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir, them fresh bear claws. Look at this. Look how massive that thing front paw is. Look at that. That's a big one, isn't it? Huh?
They were ready, but then his gaze landed on something that sent a shiver down his spine. Oh, he breathed, barely daring to speak. What's that? Before him lay a grim pile of bones, bleached white and scattered like forgotten secrets, as if those silent remains were still watching. What kind of creature could leave claw marks that size and a bone pile like that and still be lurking just beyond the trees? During a recent expedition in Washington, the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization investigated multiple Sasquatch sightings reported to them. The team hiked an area between Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams, setting up near the base of Mount Adams with a clear view of St. Helens to the northwest. While on the trail, they recorded several wood knocks, heard a few whoops, and discovered impressive Bigfoot trackways in various forms. Deep in the shadow of Mount Adams, the team is investigating reported Bigfoot sighting locations. Several of the reports from this region have been particularly compelling. There are numerous other reports on various websites as well. In case any details were missed, the footage will be slowed down and stabilized in the section where the figure appears. It will then be played forward and in reverse twice for better analysis.
We're in the shadow of Mount Adams, looking at some Bigfoot sighting locations. We've been sent some pretty compelling reports in the area, not to mention there's just a ton of them on other websites. In case you missed it, I will slow it and stabilize the section it appears and play it forward and reverse twice.
It looks as though something stepped right between the two trees, a narrow gap that the team is struggling to navigate themselves.
And here is the top of its head, and here is what appears to be the nose. This looks like it's the brow line, and these seem to be the eye socket location, so to speak. This looks like the hairline right around the face. Just so cool. Not saying it is Bigfoot. However, we were investigating a string of Bigfoot sightings and we were hearing wood knocks, vocalizations, and finding Bigfoot tracks that were fresh. Watch the rest of the video. Each Bigfoot track documented gets more and more amazing.
Whatever made that move didn't hesitate. Right here in the ground, an incredible track begins, clearly visible at the top and stretching back through this area. This print measures about 18 inches long with a sharply defined toe section. At 7.5 to 8 inches wide, its size matches perfectly with the previous track found.
Yeah, we're having a hard time even making, we can't make an imprint in this ground. Here's the top of it right here. And it goes back through here. And it looks like 18.
That's the toe section.
By about 8, 7.5, 8.
It's the right dimensions.
Just off to the side, a branch has been freshly shoved down, its disturbance strikingly recent. This fresh sign adds to the growing evidence surrounding the other tracks, suggesting something moved through here not long ago. Upon closer inspection, the investigation team found another track, measuring an impressive 15 inches long at the toe. The deep impression curves over the hill, with water quietly resting inside the deep impression. This unmistakable sign shows the Bigfoot came down here recently to drink. They found evidence here showing movement in the same direction. It appears something came down this way and disturbed a piece of the terrain, then continued heading in that direction.
Up at the top, a good 15 inches, and it comes around the hills over here. And it stepped in so deep that there's still standing water here. The Bigfoot obviously come down for the water. And then Brody found, what'd you find?
Over here, you can see it's in the same direction where it hit. I come down and kind of took a piece of that.
It was heading that direction.
But what force moved through here, leaving the earth unsettled? And where did it go? The impression at the toes. The ground didn't sink as much at the toes, only about 5 inches, but most of the weight had pressed down at the heel, right where the hill curves. That part was pushed nearly 7 inches. The way the footprint tapers at the back suggests it was made by something walking on 2 legs. They weren't saying it was Bigfoot, but the size and shape were hard to ignore.
It didn't sink in as deep at the toes. It put most of its weight at the heel, where the heel curves around about 5 inches, where it starts to taper at the back. Up at the toes, 7 inches. I mean, this, I'm not saying Bigfoot did this, but it's Bigfoot dimension. It's just about 15 inches in length, maybe a little bit longer.
It matched the kind of footprint often reported in sightings. If the footprint matches the legends, does that mean the legend is real?
I want to measure the depth
that it sunk in at the deepest spot. I'm getting about 2 inches, a little over 2 inches deep at the deepest spot on that side. On this side, same thing, about 2.5 inches deep over there. I mean, this thing sunk in deep. This is why we checked the water sources. This thing got a drink right here. Show them where the creek is, Brody.
How many more signs like this have gone unnoticed in the woods? Deep in the swampy heart of southeast Texas, where alligators slink and pines tower over murky creeks, legends of Bigfoot thrive. Jerry the Wolfman Mills, a lifelong hunter, knows these bottomlands like his own shadow. From eerie wood knocks to a giant handprint on his truck, his chilling encounters paint a picture of Sasquatch, not as myth, but as a living, breathing force pacing the thickets. Step into the humid dark, where silence screams louder than howls, and something massive watches. We listen to his experience as shared by Wildman of the Woods. Jerry's first brush came hunting with a friend.
And all of a sudden I heard another one, and all of a sudden there was in 3 different directions. And he was adamant, I said, well, I'll be dang, man. So he made one whoop at him and one whoop back. And I said, you are kidding me. Whatever. And we just went on about our business. But, that's in the back of your mind then, A few days goes past, we go back out there to go hunting, and we separate, and I'm walking down a wide open levee top.
Wood knocks echoed from 3 directions, answered by a whoop that froze him. Days later, alone on a levee, he spotted fresh egret feathers floating, a bird freshly killed, its neck torn. Something paced him in the trees, matching his steps, stopping when he did. Gun raised, he shouted, but the shadow vanished. His buddy, 300 feet away, faced the same stalker. They found a muddy 12-inch footprint, water still pooling, too big for any man. Jerry knew then this was no bear.
And sure enough, we went back there and I looked, and there was a footprint about that big and about that wide that I could put my number 12 Red Wing boot down into and not touch the sides, still had water running into it. Every other puddle around there was clear except that one. And that's where it stepped and crossed over. And I realized then, oh my God, something was really out there.
Years later, in a deer blind, Jerry's eyes kept drifting to a tree line 150 yards out. Against habit, he scoped it. Nothing. Twice more, nothing. Then, a small figure, arms pumping, legs blurring like a roadrunner, bolted across, chasing prey. At dusk, a scream, no owl, ripped from a clear cut. Then, an 8-foot giant, maybe 700 pounds, strode across the road, its toes digging into a rise like it floated. Days later, a massive handprint smudged his truck's dusty window, fingers splayed, testing the glass. Venturing deeper with night vision and FLIR, Jerry's team heard the swamp go dead. Crickets hushed, frogs silent. A branch snapped, steps shadowed them, stopping when they did. No thermal trace, but the quiet screamed presence. In a canoe trip to a storm-ravaged bayou, Jerry and a friend hit a hot spot.
Now, me and another friend of mine, he had discovered this really hot spot that nobody goes into. Since the storms and the dead trees, they didn't go in there anyhow. It's almost impenetrable now. But of course, me and my buddy, he knows where it's at. Let's go. So we went, and we had to take a boat to get to it.
Shapes flickered on fell IR, gaps between trees closing and opening. A limb smashed 20 yards off, their boat dragged ashore, paddles tossed. They fled, lights on, pretending calm, but the message was clear. Too close. These swamps, where natives drew hairy giants on cave walls, hold secrets older than settlers. Creeks are Sasquatch highways, but reservoirs threaten this world, drowning deer, turkey, and Bigfoot alike. Jerry, tied to Twin Rivers Wolf Sanctuary, urges saving these lands. As the bayou whispers and something steps through the dark, one question lingers. Will you hear the knock before it's too close? In the rugged wilds of British Columbia's Harrison Hot Springs, where mountains hug misty lakes and gravel roads twist through dense forests, Sasquatch rules the shadows. Known for the most Bigfoot sightings in Canada, this land hums with eerie tales of hairy giants, a hunter's strange howl, a towering figure on railroad tracks, and native stories fuel the chase. Armed with a camera and grit, Angelo is on the hunt for proof, stumbling on moved wood, a massive footprint, and a rock thrown at his car. He shares his journey on his channel, Exploring with Angelo. Is the hairy man of the woods watching? In 1970, a teen working a logging road near Chilliwack.
I said to Harold, sitting next to me, "What are they saying?" He said, "Sasquatch, Sasquatch." He said, "What's that?" So they pointed ahead, and about 500 meters ahead, there was a big thing standing on the railroad tracks. Now, the two railroad tracks are still there, and the ditch is still there too. And in one step, it stepped across the railroad tracks. It didn't jump, it was upright, and it stepped across the ditch, and then it stopped in the middle of the road.
Saw something unforgettable. A massive figure stepped across railroad tracks in one stride, paused on a wide gravel road, and stared back before sprinting off. It didn't jump, it stepped, he recalls, describing an upright beast too big for a bear. The native crew shouted "Sasquatch!" and fled, their fear sealing the moment's truth. Decades later, at Sasquatch Provincial Park, strange signs pile up. Near Hicks Lake, a heap of sticks looks oddly placed, not like a campsite prep. A dark shape, tall as a tree, flashes behind a trunk, bigger than any bear, upright, gone in a blink. Bears don't walk like that, the hunter mutters, heart racing, finding no trail or reason for anyone to be there.
Possibly a bear, but on its hind legs? No, I don't think that makes sense. Bears don't walk on their hind legs. They go on all fours. Okay. There's no real trail here, so I don't see why anybody would be back here. I don't see anything.
Further up, near Rainbow Falls, a rock smacks the car's passenger side on a barren dirt road.
Have to stop, but then apparently drive in reverse, and I can't even really turn around. Oh, got static. Stupid radio. Oh. Okay. Looks like it keeps going.
No trees overhead, no dents, just a loud thud. Moments later, a dark figure moves on a cliff face, too tall for a human, too swift for chance. Bigfoot throws rocks, the hunter recalls from viral videos, pulse pounding as he scans the empty ridge.
It looked like something was moving, but there's a lot of trees out there, so it's like by where that rock is, it looked like someone was up there for a second. Who the hell would be up there, though? That's like a crazy cliff face. But if it's possible that so Bigfoot apparently throws shit at people? There was this nighttime video that I...
Backtracking to a disturbed spot, the evidence mounts. Wood piles, dragged uphill, form a path-like line, unlike any bear's work. A wet, massive footprint twice the size of a man's sits nearby, fresh in the mud. No animal stacks wood like this, he says, camera shaking. The forest falls silent. No birds, no wind. Just the weight of something watching. From native carvings to modern tracks, Harrison's forests whisper of Sasquatch. As night falls and musty odors drift, the question isn't if Bigfoot exists, it's how close he's standing right now. Deep in America's wild forests, where shadows hide secrets, Bigfoot sightings spark fear and wonder. Robert, shaken by his own 2024 encounter, digs into 3 chilling video clips that might prove Sasquatch is real. From thermal shadows in Washington to a leaping giant in Russia and a forest stalker in Oregon, these moments shared on Cabin in the Woods, backed by tracks and expert eyes, challenge doubt. Are these fleeting glimpses the truth we've been hunting? In Grays Harbor, Washington, on October 30th, 2013, John and Ben Brown borrowed a FLIR thermal camera from the Olympic Project to hunt for Bigfoot on their land. That night, just before midnight, They caught a 7-foot, 4-foot wide figure glowing hotter than the nearby cow, but distinct in shape. Tracks, 16.5 inches long, were cast at the site, matching reports of howls and twisted trees. Skeptics point to the camera shutting off, but the FLIR manual notes battery display issues with non-rechargeable cells, explaining the cutoff. Phil Poling, a skeptical investigator, mapped the scene and admitted it could be real. The figure's stillness, a known Sasquatch trait, and lack of profit motive make a hoax unlikely. In Russia's Adygia Republic, January 2015, amateur Yeti hunters filmed a tall, dark figure leaping through snowy woods. Its long arms and flexing back muscles, visible in zoomed frames, defy human motion. Tracks were spotted but not cast, and the clip's raw, shaky quality suggests surprise, not staging.
Видел, как он своими лапами машет? Смотри, 2 метра рост. Йо. Я боюсь. Надо отдать эту съемку в НТВ. Чрезвычайное положение. Побежали. Пошли за ним.
The Caucasus, a hotspot for Almasty lore, adds weight, as does the figure's size against trees. Critics cite blurry footage and missing raw files, but no one's claimed tampering in a decade, and the group's lack of fame or gain bolsters authenticity.
The subject also appears to have a natural gait. It looks like it's walking with a heavy, forward-leaning stride that believers argue shows muscle movement rather than stiff costume fabric. When attempting to scale the subject against the trees, even in these highly compressed versions, the figure seems taller and broader than any average human would compared to the surrounding trunks.
A bear in the frame underscores the wild setting. Paul Freeman, a former Forest Service patrolman, filmed a massive figure in Oregon's Blue Mountains on August 20th, 1992. Chasing tracks near Daduct Spring, he caught an 8-foot creature brushing a 16-foot tree, later verified by a game warden.
Oh, there he goes. Jesus.
Freeman's casts, showing dermal ridges and mid-tarsal breaks, stunned anthropologists like Dr. Grover Krantz and Dr. Jeff Meldrum, who called them too detailed to fake.
And so I'm looking at this stuff and I'm thinking, how could it possibly do this? There's too much anatomical detail, which, as I would describe, point out the things that were impressing me. It was like, he didn't have a clue what I was talking about.
Critics question Freeman's past and the shaky footage, but his wilderness expertise and years of evidence collection counter hoax claims. The figure's fluid gait in rough terrain resists costume mimicry. These clips, tied to tracks, expert analysis, and raw context, stand firm against doubt. No fame or fortune drove these witnesses, only a quest for truth. As forests whisper and cameras flicker, one question lingers: is Bigfoot closer than we dare believe? In the foggy depths of Washington's Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, where creeks roar and ancient trees whisper warnings, a chill hangs heavy. Yakima natives call it Skookum Valley, as shown on Salish Sasquatch, and warn people to stay out. Here, campgrounds buzz with Sasquatch hunters, but silence falls when something stirs. Last Christmas Eve, 2 hikers vanished into the wilds, their bodies found miles from their truck, sparking whispers of more than bad luck.
Up here were the 2 hikers on December 24th, Christmas Eve last year. This is where they passed away at. This is right where they were at, and this is right where they brought them out at. So none of us locals can figure out. As soon as we heard this story, even my son-in-law, people I know, we were like, this is absolute crazy.
Audio howls, branch snaps, and a debunked butt crack photo fuel the hunt. But the real horror: unseen eyes in the dark. A burning curiosity drives the search, sparked by rooftop tent scares and fleeting glimpses. Weekends blur into quests. What hurts them? How do they heal? Audio recorders hidden on trails of least resistance capture the unknown.
First night, I'm going to test a theory of putting my audio recorder on this trail right here. This trail is kind of outside of camp, goes for miles. And why wouldn't a Sasquatch use this trail? It's a path of least resistance. So I'm going to put my audio on this trail, just leave it out the first night.
One night, across a creek 200 yards out, a device snags howls that echo human yet bigger, cutting off as phones flip to record. It sounded like it sat right across the river, yelling our way, one hunter recalls. Elk? Wolves? Or something watchful?
We woke up at like 4:30 this morning, and actually I originally thought it was someone at one of the other camps screaming. And then I started thinking maybe it was a wolf or something, but it sounded kind of human-like but bigger. And then when my wife went out to go to the bathroom, I came out and you could tell it was basically it sounded like it was sitting right across the river, like yelling this way. And then as soon as I got my phone out to record, it stopped. Went for an hour straight though.
Dawn breaks with unease. Logs climb to remote stumps. Trail cams primed where a prior setup caught a prowler circling, then bolting with the device. Creep factor spikes near the hiker's fate. December 24th, 2024. Two men, 59 and 37, parked here for a day visit. Dressed wrong for winter, they crossed a flood stage creek, freezing, thigh-high, then plunged through a blowdown no sane soul would. Separated on a ridge 700 feet apart, bodies taken out by ropes and chainsaws through brush.
We had just a little skiff of snow on the ground, and these guys were not dressed for winter conditions.
They were dressed for a day visit, which was
their plan. Yeah, just a day visit. So they had parked up here in this area, and they went down this road right here. And if you guys want to look down there,
you want to go that way?
They were found about 2 miles from this location.
Coast Guard from 120 miles away airlifted them via FLYR, silencing locals. No names released, no why they came answers. FedEx workers from Portland, Bigfoot seekers. The valley's secrecy screams cover up.
Because there's not too many people other than locals that know about this and what's around here and what's going on in this valley. I heard that they worked for FedEx out of Portland, but one guy was 59, one guy was 39 or 37, something like that. The whole thing is just kind of bizarre about really what happened in here.
Whispers turned to speculation. Wrong calls lured them. Natives shun this spot for a reason. No birds, no crickets, just cracks, 3 in a row. Audio yields a rain-soaked howl, analyzed by a military cryptolinguist as high-probability Sasquatch. Resonant, too loud for owls, thriving when humans hide indoors. Metallic clangs echo from afar, defying distant camps.
They weren't dressed for it.
I haven't heard any animals at all here.
No, there's no sound at all in here because this valley.
Factor here for sure.
I was told
there's a certain creep factor here for sure.
Something's not off.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard a bird. Haven't heard any crickets. I haven't heard.
But we did hear cracks when we came in, didn't we?
Yeah,
we heard 3 different cracks.
That doesn't surprise me. Off to your left.
No squirrels.
The hunt presses on. A butt crack photo, dark shape downhill amid branch breaks, draws a return. Zoomed by an accidental snap from a video switch, screamed Sasquatch. But boots hit ground, a stump plain as day. Always check. They laugh. Though the whisper in the woods mid-hike chills spines. Nearby, an X of high broken trees balances unnaturally, hinting deliberate design. Creeks yield no prints. A walk through water?
That one's balancing on this tree and this one's balancing on that tree. Huh. Very interesting. What if they just didn't follow the creeks but actually walked through them because nothing is leaving any prints in this.
Uneventful nights end with pack up, but the forest stirs. The forest is still alive at 2 to 3 a.m. with snaps of thick brush, whoops silencing night. Owls flee for hours, returning tired. Too big for owls, the Guardian mutters after 6 months.
Definitely in the night around 2 and 3 in the morning, there's a lot of breakage. Like heavy trees, like thick brush. It don't sound like something that's breaking easy, and I see it in the next day. A couple hours later, if we're lucky, I'll hear the owls come back out. Very, very concerning sounds after 6 months here.
Are you sure they're owls?
Hell no, I'm not sure they're owls. Too big to be an owl.
As valleys fall quiet and howls pierce rain, one question haunts the locals. What claimed those hikers, and is it calling you next?
Here it is. But he believed that was a Sasquatch. What I find is interesting is that it's during rain. So was my vocal that I caught in March. It was during rain, like they feel comfortable or something.
Footage, courtesy, Penford Media. In the forests of New England, legends run as deep as the roots of the old pines. But every now and then, those legends step out of the shadows and into the lives of ordinary people. That's the spirit behind Within the Woods, a 2024 Bigfoot film produced by Penford Media in association with the New Hampshire Bigfoot Society. No Hollywood monsters, no gimmicks, just raw voices telling what they've seen and what they can't forget. One of those voices is Kelly Porter. His story doesn't begin in adulthood or with fancy equipment. It begins when he was 12, just a kid playing around Lucas Pond in Northwood. "I saw what I thought was some weird guy walking in the woods," he recalls. His father brushed it off as just a drifter.
Having a good time, looking around, as kids do.
Yep.
And I saw what I thought was some weird guy walking through the woods. As my father called him, some old dirty hippie. So I brushed it off as that.
Years later, Kelly saw Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of and realized the weird guy might have been something else entirely. That memory stayed with him.
And then a couple of years goes by, and there was a show back in my day. It was called In Search Of. That was my first time that I saw that, and I'm like, it kind of lightened onto Marblehead because I had now put a name to what I had seen.
Yeah.
And when I told my father that that's what I saw, because, my old man, being my old man, was, shut up, you didn't see that. You're goddamn fool. It was probably just somebody running around trying to scare you.
By his mid-teens, while fishing near the Stingy River, he heard a stick snap behind him. Climbing the bank, he saw a figure striding away. Huge, hairy, and human-like, but far too big. 7 feet tall, maybe more, broad enough to look like it could drag a car.
I don't know, 15, 16, I guess. I was out there fishing. I heard a stick snap, the typical story that you hear. I went up, and this thing was walking away from me because it was kind of a muddy banking and stuff. So by the time I climbed myself up there, it had been walking away, and it looked like a big, hairy, naked person, you know what I mean? That's all the only way I can describe it.
It covered ground I couldn't, even at a run, he admits. The thing bolted, leaving Kelly stunned. That was his turning point. After that, I needed to know. I wanted answers.
When it finally realized that I had come up over the bank, and because, it beat feet and it covered ground that I couldn't cover, let alone, on a dead run. But that was my big intro to it, was when I seen it in Lucas Pond area, and then I saw it again. It was out of control after that for me, because I needed to know. I wanted answers. I wanted to know where, what, when, why, what.
Kelly's not the only one. Doug McCullough, a veteran investigator, has spent 2 decades chasing these reports. He hasn't had a clear sighting himself, but what he's experienced is enough to convince him. Twice, he's heard vocalizations so unnatural he can't attribute them to any animal he knows. Twice, small trees have snapped and slammed to the ground near him. Not toppled, snapped, slammed, he stresses. When that happens 50 yards from you, it's time to go. Doug often repeats an idea passed down through Native American traditions, that Bigfoot shows itself only when it chooses.
A lot of the Native Americans say if you were seen one, you were more than lucky because it decided to let you see it. If it didn't want to be seen, it ain't gonna be walking out in the road. When you got all these dark woods and you see a car coming, wouldn't you just step back behind the tree? And but they seem to walk out and just take a look at the car coming and almost letting it be seen.
Yeah. If it doesn't want to be seen, he explains, it won't be. These forests are dark. It can step behind a tree and vanish. That thought alone, that something could be there, watching, choosing whether or not to step forward, keeps his curiosity alive.
I haven't seen it, but I've had 2 really good vocalizations, and I've had 2 cases where a small tree got snapped and slammed to the ground. I have nothing to prove or show for it, but I know what it was, you know? Like, I want to see, I'm curious and all this, but when you get something like that at 50 yards maybe, a tree slamming up, time to go for me. I'm pretty convinced.
But perhaps the most relatable testimony comes from Richie B., a man who never went looking for any of this. He bought 3 acres in Massachusetts' Bridgewater Triangle back in 2002, a quiet spot near conservation land. For years, nothing unusual.
Didn't go out looking for anything.
Right.
I own 3 acres in what's called the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts, and it abuts 94 acres of conservation. About a mile out is what's called the Taunton River.
Yep.
And I own the property since 2002.
Then, in 2008, strange cracks and heavy footsteps began echoing through the woods. At first, it was distant. Then, it came closer, onto his land, near his home.
And I'd say about 2008 or so, I started noticing different noises, sounds from the woods. So I started hearing walking around and breaks and stuff. I didn't think much of it. I found myself at night, like on the couch, going, what was that sound? You know what I mean? Like, what was out there breaking stuff? And it went on, this went on for months, like 6 months. And then I started noticing events happening at my house closer to me.
One afternoon, while raking by his fire pit, he heard an elm snap and watched it fall right on his property.
Okay.
One particular time I was out in the yard raking around this fire pit I have, cleaning up all the loose wood and stuff. And I heard something walk, and I didn't look yet. I was raking, and I heard about an 8 to 10 inch elm or oak snap in one pull. It went, and I turned like this, and I just saw it coming down.
The woods were dense, but something was in there. I froze, Richie recalls. I grabbed my phone and recorded. You can hear it on my channel, a guttural growl. What struck him most was the absurdity mixed with fear. He tried to sound brave, saying, "You stay there, I'll stay here."
And it was in my property, you have to understand, I have a game trail. It's all dense woods. It opens up into a clearing and then goes back to dense woods and wetlands, right? So I just froze. So I grabbed my phone, I held my phone up and I said, and I held my phone up and you can hear it on my YouTube channel. The thing goes, and at first I was brave, right? You get that man thing? And I'm like, this is your property, this is my, yeah, Richie B.
He laughs about it now. Then it hit me. What am I doing? I just heard a growl from something I can't see. Instinct took over. He slowly backed away toward the street. That moment changed everything.
And then it hits me, the fight or flight human thing hits me. Like, what am I doing? I just heard a guttural sound with a creature I can't see. So I have about an acre of grass fenced in, so I started backing up to the street where I felt safer.
Already a paranormal investigator, Richie began documenting strange tree structures.
I'm a structures guy. There's nothing scientific about it, actually. Technically, right?
Arches, twists, deliberate formations, and sharing them with rangers and guides.
We'll talk to you about structures. Zero chance. It ain't happening. And Crystal as well. She's a little open-minded to it. Dave McCullough from Squatchachusetts is open to it. Mike Trainer, you just saw walk by. The Vogels even, I'll talk to them. They have a lot of great explanations for things. And they're outdoor wilderness guides. So they're out in the woods all the time. Tim Vogel lives on 1,300 acres and is a forest ranger.
We'll have to get him over here.
Oh, you must speak to them.
Some shrugged. Others couldn't explain it. That's enough for me, he says. I'm not chasing clicks. I'm chasing the truth.
And I've sent them pictures of stuff that they can't explain. So I don't just try to make things up and say, hey, look at me, click and view. That ain't what I'm doing. What I'm doing is sending it out to other people that have more knowledge than I do.
Absolutely.
Like, you should. Like a DNA or anything else, right? You send it out to those guys, they've seen everything. Tim Vogel lives on 1,300 acres and is a forest ranger.
We'll have to get him over here.
Oh, you must speak to them.
What makes Within the Woods compelling isn't effects or drama. It's the raw honesty of people like Kelly, Doug, and Richie. Ordinary people, living ordinary lives, until something in the dark made them question everything. And here's the truth older folks know well. Sometimes, life doesn't give you tidy answers. You hear the branch snap, you see the figure vanish, you feel the ground shake as something heavy moves in the dark. You don't get to wrap it up neat and simple. You just live with it. As Doug McCulloch says, I have nothing to prove. But I know what I felt. Kelly Porter nods. Richie B shrugs with a half smile. Different men, different encounters, but all pointing to the same unsettling possibility, that something boom intelligent and elusive shares these woods with us. And maybe that's the reason people keep coming back to stories like these. Not for monsters or myths, but for voices that sound like neighbors, reminding us that the forest isn't as empty as we'd like to think. 7 encounters, dozens of questions. From glowing orbs to giant footprints, each sighting pushes the boundary between myth and reality. Are these coincidences or clues to something extraordinary still hiding in the shadows? Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, one thing is certain: the legend of Bigfoot isn't going away. Thanks for watching Ultimate Bigfoot Compilation Top Shocking Sightings. Stay curious, stay alert, and never stop looking, because the truth might still be out there,